question that's along the same lines. And I'm sure you learned a ton since you've been in the business, but what is something or a couple things that you have learned that you might not have necessarily known coming into the industry in 2011?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I came in, I really thought that I needed to have a much better understanding of X's and O's. And so early on in my career, I put so much emphasis on that side of things, of trying to learn from like Matt Bowen, who was a colleague of mine for a long time, trying to learn from Chris Sims and be like, I need to understand the, deep levels of coverage and blocking schemes. And I used to bug Jeff Schwartz and Duke Manyweather to no end, thinking I had to know all about these blocking schemes. And then the more time I spent around general managers and directors in the NFL, I learned that like those guys have a good understanding of football, but they're not students of the X's and O's to the level that I was trying to get to. And so that was one thing for me, probably within the last 5 years, where it's like, okay, I can let go of some of this. I don't have to spend 20 hours a week breaking down coaches' tape of NFL so I can stay on top of schemes and situations like that, whereas I can spend more time looking at the athleticism of players. And I think that was one lesson to go right off that I learned as well, is like, when we're evaluating players, I'll never forget, I was lucky enough to go to a game. I won't say a game because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I went to a game and I stood on the field with a director of college scouting for a team. And he was just like, so here's what I do. And like I stayed with him the whole game. And so it was like from the beginning to the end. And so much of his time was spent body typing and just paying attention to athleticism. So little of his time was spent paying attention to technique or what a guy was asked to do in a scheme. And I think that rubbed off on me a lot as well, especially like I love scouting receivers. And that rubbed off on me a lot then, because it's like when I'm looking at these receivers, you can't just knock a guy because what he was or wasn't asked to do in his scheme. You have to look at what he can do. And so those would be my three big lessons, is like what to focus on, how much athleticism plays into a guy's success or miss rate, and then not getting so caught up on you did or didn't do this, but what can you do? And I think, to me, if I were to write like a Bible for scouting, that'd be the first chapter. Is like, scouting is what can this guy do, and then trying to project that into your individual needs as a team.